What up everyone, Kari's Maggie here and welcome back to my channel where I encourage you to submerge yourself in culture and live meaningful lives. Now a couple months ago I did this video where I compared living in Newfoundland with living in Toronto, and I kind of teased you all and said if you wanted a video about what dating was like in Newfoundland to let me know, and surprisingly enough some of you are interested, so I got you. This is what this video is all about. Okay. I did this video a couple times because I felt like I was rambling too much. So to be fair, in this video I'm going to be talking about why my dating life in Newfoundland failed, because I do want to, make it be from more of a personal standpoint and not to generalize it. So just know that. As a lot of you already know, I grew up in the Caribbean and I grew up with two strict Haitian parents. So the whole aspect of dating, like what we see in North America that's allowed in the Caribbean, that's not a thing really, like being able to go out on dates like that. For a lot of us, we grew up in strict households where we couldn't do that. So I don't think I was adequately prepared for the dating world, and just like many of you, it was on a trial and error basis that I navigated my way through it to know what I like, what to expect, etc. So I moved to Newfoundland. I literally landed on my 20th birthday. So I'll be honest in saying the first year of university, I wasn't really necessarily like looking to date someone to be in a relationship per se. Like my first year of university was all about me, finally being out on my own kind of a deal, so taking advantage of that, like going out with friends, coming and going as I please pretty much, and also like networking, knowing my surroundings a bit more, just job opportunities, all of that stuff. That was my main focus. And also school, that's the main reason I went there anyways. Focusing on school was a big thing. So yeah, it wasn't until fast forward to like when I was 21, this is when I actually decided to think about dating. And to be honest, it was more of like all my other friends were getting all booed up and doing their little thing, so I was like, okay, maybe I should try and give this like dating a try. Like, I'm an adult now, let me see what this dating life is really about. So reason number one why my dating life in Newfoundland failed. So here's how it works. For us in most Caribbean countries, we graduate from high school at the age of 16. Over here in North America, they usually graduate at 18 years old. So I'm already 20, like pretty much 21 at this point. So all the guys I was meeting, if they're first or second year, they would be much younger than me. Now there were like some older guys for sure, depending. But again, it depends on what setting you are to meet these individuals, which I will talk about in my second point. But yes, definitely the age factor was a thing for me, because I'm not trying to say that age equals maturity, but I did find in a lot of these cases, most of the guys that I did meet, whether they were from Newfoundland or out of province, because a lot of students came from out of province to Newfoundland for the cheaper tuition. So that was a factor that I noticed, and that, there was a barrier there in terms of maturity level. The second thing is the places that I was meeting these people. So what you have to realize is when you are dating as a university student, it's going to be very different from when you're dating as, someone who's now full-time employed, like this adult, whatever, career driven, all of that stuff. So that would also affect like the settings that you're able to meet people. So number two, I would say my settings were limited in that most of the people I would meet would be literally class from my classes, and if we had any social settings, it would be like at a bar, a house party, or some other social setting like a potluck. So those were literally like the only options I really had, because I was living in Corner Brook, which is a smaller city. St. John's, that's a bit of a different scene. Maybe there were more opportunities, but I can't speak on that because that's not where I was living. If you are from St. John's, let me know in the comment section what the dating scene is like in terms of options for meeting people. Comment below for me right now. So of course, in these settings, a lot of the guys, they weren't really able to make like a very good first impression, especially when alcohol was involved. So sometimes it could be a bit of a turn off. I did try at times to be understanding, so maybe we would connect first and foremost like through Facebook, and then as we're talking through Facebook, if I felt like, maybe we can then meet up for something else like coffee or lunch, then a phone number would be exchanged. But before then, it was kind of like just talking to them at the party or like that social setting, feeling out the situation, and then proceed like if I feel like I would be interested. The third reason is that a lot of the guys were shy. So what I found is that you would literally have a boy who's probably interested in you, but he would be admiring you from a distance and not saying anything. Now, I know in a nutshell, guys are like afraid of being rejected. Like, everyone I feel like is afraid of rejection if you approach someone you like and then they give you this reaction. So I get it. But the guys I was meeting, I felt like they were shyer, especially when I compare them to like guys from St. John's. So there were a couple times that I did go and get to visit St. John's, so I did get to see the difference in that. So yeah, the fourth reason, now I probably should have mentioned this when I talked about the setting, but when I finally decided to try out dating apps, it was because like after a while I got busy with like working more and stuff like that, so going to a lot of these social settings and parties wasn't going to be a way for me to meet people, so I decided to try out dating apps. So like Tinder, as everyone know, came about and I decided to try it out, but I found out very quickly that it's more of like a hookup app, which is not what I was interested in. Like, that wasn't my like cup of tea. So very quickly I like lost interest. But one thing I'll say is I did notice that depending on what profile picture I had, that I would have more matches if my hair was like braided, versus if I had my hair natural out like this, like it would be a lot less. Yeah, that was an interesting thing to notice as well. But yeah, that was like my experience with the dating app portion. I don't think I'll ever try it again. Reason number 5, how do I say this delicately? In a lot of settings, I feel like when I did get to that portion that, you know, now we go on a date, most of the times a date would be like bowling, a movie. Again, we're students, we're broke, so we ain't going on no fancy smanchy date. There weren't a lot of like fancy places, I think, to go on a date. Like, there were a couple, but there were a lot of like local fast food restaurants that you could go to, which was cool as well. Like, I don't know if the conversations were a bit awkward and like they didn't know how to talk to me, because like before, a lot of students, like international students as well, used to go to the province for school. It wasn't as diverse as it is right now, so I don't know if that was like a reason. But sometimes like inappropriate stuff would be said to me. I don't know if they knew it was inappropriate or not, or if they thought it was a compliment to me. So some of these things would be like commenting on, you know, oh, I've never been with a black girl before, or oh, this will be so cool, you'll be the first black girl I get to date. I have other friends who, you know, if they're on the thicker side, they have told me that a lot of the times it seems like the person was just interested in their body, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, like stuff like that. So fun tip, please try and get to know people for themselves and stop like associating like your fetishes to them, because we're not objects, like we're people. Cool? Cool. So reason number 6, so just to know what I was talking about, like all the other reasons I was given in the beginning, a lot of those guys that I would go on dates with would be like Canadian guys, for example. In this instant, the reason I didn't have a lot of luck with dating anyone who was like from my culture, whether Caribbean or from Africa or something, it was because there's this thing in some of our cultures that whenever we leave where we're from and we go to somewhere like America or Canada, there is this expectation that your partner, doesn't matter how successful you are and how well you did in school, there's kind of like this expectation that you should come back with a lighter partner, preferably white. Yes, that's a thing. And if you don't, it's like almost like a disappointment, and every other thing that you accomplish kind of feels like it didn't matter. That wasn't the case for me, because my parents never put on me, oh, you have to date a white guy, blah blah blah, this and that. But there are some people that in their family and also their culture, like they are expected to date up, is what they would call it. So they wouldn't want to come to Canada and, you know, leaving somewhere that it predominantly has black people and then coming over to Canada and then they end up dating a black girl. So I had guys who would pretty much tell me like, I don't date black girls. Like, it was hurtful, definitely, hearing stuff like that. Partially a reason that I just kind of stopped dating. By the time I got to my 3rd year of university, I kind of just gave up on it because I just felt like it wasn't worth it anymore. But yes, that was something I also experienced. For those who were, however, interested in dating black girls, you had to have a certain skin tone, you had to have a certain hair texture. So my 4C hair texture wasn't their kind. So yes, they like black girls, but there's like a specific type of black girl that they were into. Get what I mean? So yeah, next thing, which would be the last thing I'll say, is that I knew by my third year, like about 3.5 years of going to school there, that I wanted to be able to explore more of Canada and the opportunities that were out there. So I knew I did not want to like stay in Newfoundland after I graduated. And so I decided to intentionally put a stop on wanting to date as well, because I didn't want to get attached to a guy, especially if he's from Newfoundland. And what I did notice is a lot of guys who are, or just anyone in general, if they're from Newfoundland, they definitely have a bond to the province, not only for the province itself, but also family, the comforts of it. So some are not really interested in actually moving to another province, and I wanted to have the option to, you know, be able to seek out opportunities if they came my way and not have anything holding me back, right? No feelings hurt, whether it was mine or the other party involved. So yeah, that was just the best thing I thought that I should do, and it worked out in the end. Like, definitely now I'm here in Toronto and, you know, doing what I need to do to make my dreams come true and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I would say about my experience. Again, this is going to be different for everybody. I tried my best to sum up all the reasons I believe that dating failed for me as much as possible without giving too much detail, because again, I mean, not everything you need to put out there on the internet. But just so everyone who was asking me about it, there is possibility for you to find someone that would be on your level to date, depending on what you're looking for. But what I would say is, try not to have like a set list of, oh, he has to be dark skinned, he has to be from this country, that, like, the minute you start having all these lists and that's not available, you kind of like limit if you are even able to find that person, because the person could be right in front of you, but because you have all these set, this is what I need, and they have to have this, and if they don't, then they're out of the criteria, then it's going to affect. Of course, when it comes on to like values and things like that, I think that you should never compromise on your values. But one thing I do notice is a lot of times why dating is hard for many of us is that when it comes on to physical appearance, we have so many criteria that we expect. And if the person doesn't fit that, and they might fit everything else on the list, it's kind of like, okay, on to the next. But again, to each their own. Do you, boo. Do what's good for you. I hope this video was helpful. If you want to share with me anyone who has, you know, lived in Newfoundland, and you want to share some gems for anyone who's watching this video, and they probably want more, you know, perspectives to know what it was like for you, please share in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to do good and do things, and until next time, Maggie is out.